Let's decorate this number one PJ Masks birthday cake together. Hi guys, I know it has been a while, but I've been very busy working on my vlog channel, but now I am back. Welcome to my recipe channel. My name is Susan. This is my cakes and confectionery page where I share all things baking tutorials on cakes and pastries and or snacks and also cake design. So let's get started. For this my number one birthday cake frosting, I made use of 1.5 kg of vanilla flavored buttercream. Then for my cakes, I'm making use of vanilla sponge cake, and I just colored the batter into different food grade color. Since it's a birthday cake for a male child, and they wanted it to be PJ Masks because he likes PJ Masks cartoon, I made use of colored batter in red, in regular normal vanilla, and then also in green. That's for the batter. And for this batter, I made 1 kg of this batter, and I baked this in the number one, the pan for number one cake. I didn't want to do any crafting, but I just made it in number one cake, and I made 3 layers out of it, and I still had an extra that I baked in an 8 inches round cake. So that 1 kg of batter gave me 3 layers of number one crafted cake, and then 1 layer of 8 inches round cake. Hope this makes sense. So for this, when I began the decoration, I added a little bit of buttercream on my board, and then I layered each of the cake with buttercream. And after I was through with that, I went ahead to trim my cake. Now I've decorated cakes, crafted cake, like that is numbered cake and alphabet cake before in fondant, but I have not worked with buttercream on a numbered cake. So I was very excited and a little bit scared that I didn't want to mess this up. And since it's the first birthday cake, I didn't want to mess it up, so I took all my time. And at the end of the day, I love the fact that it came out perfect. So another thing was that while I was layering and layering the cakes, I noticed it wasn't as straight as it was, so I added some cakes to level it to make sure it's straight. I wanted it to be very straight, and this cake is very tall. It's a very big cake. It was 8 inches and 6 inches rather. It was 6 inches in height. It was 6 inches in height. So once I was through stacking my cakes, I went ahead to trim the sides, and I took my time. You know, number one is a very funny shape. It has a lot of corners, so I took my time trimming each of those corners carefully, one after the other. I did not want a situation whereby I was going to change the original shape that the pan gave me. Like I said, I didn't have time to carve because I love carving out my numbers from rectangle or square shaped cake, so I just used the pan to make work faster for me, and I love how this turned out at the end of the day. So I took my time in trimming. Now these cakes are not like other flavors, they're just all in vanilla flavor, and they are sponge cakes. So I just colored the batter differently. That is, I divided my batter into 3. Now for my batter, each of them I weighed them to be 1 kg. Let me go over this again. The original batter is 1 kg. That is my flour, the major items, my flour, my eggs, my sugar, my butter. It was 1 kg. So I made it like as if I was making a pound cake, where I used ratio 1 to 1. So that was what I did here. Then after mixing my batter and everything, I usually measure all my batter. If you watch some of my baking recipes, you know that I usually weigh each of my batter in my pan. So the weight of each batter in each pan of my number one pan was 1 kg. Hope this makes sense. So when I was through with trimming, I went over to crumb coat. Now if you've been watching my videos, you know that I love crumb coating, using crumbs to crumb coat. It gives you a very firm look, and it makes your crumb coating to crust faster. And if you are in countries where it's always very cold, like in the United States and other countries, you can also imbibe this crumb coating method. It makes your crumb coat crust faster without you putting it in the freezer. Yes, and if you're in countries like Nigeria where it's always hot, please don't even try to put your buttercream cakes in the refrigerator so for the crumb coat to crust, because at the end of the day, when you're about delivering, the sun is going to tell on it and it's going to allow it start sweating. So once I was through, I went ahead to start crumb coating, and just like I said, number one cake has so many corners, so I took crumb coating according to those corners, and it was fun. Once I was through crumb coating, I allow it crust. I just left it on my work surface and allow it crust. It took about 30 minutes for it to crust. On a good day when it's very sunny, to take 20 to 25 minutes to crust properly. So you need to have a very good crusted cake. What I mean by crusting is just make sure the covering you covered is firm. That is, when you place your hand on it or when you touch it, it's not sticking to your hand. So why you need to have a firm surface is so that your design, when you're designing on the cake, when you're crumb coat, when you're doing your final covering rather of your frosting, it will come out very well. So for the side, I took my time to make sure when I'm crumb coating, I got my sharp edges at the side. Each of those corners, I got my sharp edges, so that when I'm doing the final covering, everything will just work smoothly. So if you're still watching my video to this very moment, please do well to subscribe, show us some love, and also subscribe to my vlog channel. It is a fun channel, trust me. This is where I share all things commercial recipes, no failed commercial recipes that no one has ever shared on YouTube. And if you go to that channel and check it out, you know that these are facts, and you see recipes that will blow your mind, from drinks to pastries to shops and all that. So show us some love by subscribing to that vlog channel, also subscribing to this recipe channel where I share all things cakes. If you're a baker, professionally trained baker and pastry chef like myself, or you just want to go into the business, you just want to take it up as a career, this is that channel you want to also stay subscribed to, because I share my no-fail recipes here every time. So my apologies for being off this channel for a while. I've been putting all efforts in the vlog channel and trying to make sure it was monetized, and recently it's got monetized. So now I'm back to my recipe channel, and then let's do this together. So once I was through with crumb coating the sides, I went over to add my dowel rods to the top. And for my dowel rods, I added a pipe to the center, in the center, and this pipe has been washed and has been sterilized, and I also wrapped it with a cling film. You know, that's how I do my things. Then I went over to add 2 extra dowel rods to the cake, because this was a big cake. It was 6 inches in height. It was very, very heavy. So then this was to give it stability. I didn't know where they were taking the cake to, so I wanted it to be, I didn't want any issues. Then I went ahead to crumb coat the top and allow this to crust, and this baby was ready for my final covering. Now for my final covering, I wanted to go according to the PJ Masks color. PJ Masks, they have the green, I think the green is a cat boy. Is it cat boy? No, the blue is cat boy, the green is gecko, and the red is owlet. Yes, so I wanted to do that. So I had a buttercream frosting in green, in blue, in red, and also in white. Now for my red buttercream, I made use of red velvet food coloring to give me that red. That's how you see that red is very, very sharp. So I started with the green first. I added the green down. Then I went over to add the red. I went over to add the red next. And then finally I went over to add the blue. Then I added a touch of white at the top. So for the green, I'm adding the frosting like layer by layer, and I'm also taking into consideration the corners of that number one shape. So I'm adding applying my frosting. I'm taking my time to work here. You know, I said I've been working with fondants for numbered cakes and alphabet cakes, but I've never covered a numbered cake in buttercream frosting completely before, like both the frosting and the design before. So I was taking my time, and this came out so well, so sharp. The review for this cake was mind-blowing. So when I was through with the color green vanilla frosting, buttercream frosting, I then went ahead to work with the color red. And just like I did for the color green, I added the color red according to each corners. I took my time applying them to each corners. I didn't mess up, I didn't interfere with the corners, with the edges, right? I didn't interfere with the edges. I made sure I retained the edges because I wanted my edges to be sharp. All corners, I wanted the edges to be sharp. So once I was through, I went over to add my blue colored vanilla buttercream frosting. Then for the top, I wanted the top to have a bit of like a cloud or a sky kind of theme. That was why I added a little bit of white at the top. But before I did that, I went to comb the buttercream, to comb it well, and I took my time combing this well. I combed this well. So perhaps maybe another decoration, if I'm designing a numbered cake in buttercream, I'll use a stainless comb and I'll heat it up in water to make the work faster, because this combing took me a lot of time to comb it to get this perfect flawless combing. So perhaps maybe next time I'll use a stainless cake comb dip in hot water to make the work faster for me. So once I was through with combing, I then went ahead to cover the top with white buttercream. I also made sure that I did not tamper with the edges. I took my time. If you watch the way I'm moving my hands while working with the edges, I took each edge at a time. I'll do like left, right, just to make sure I get that sharp edges. And I was amazed at the turnout. It came out very, very well. I started regretting for not venturing into decorating numbered and alphabet crafted cakes with buttercream, like totally, because this turned out to be fun. Then the reason why I also went ahead to use green, red, and blue, and to kind of smear them a little bit together, is because if you look at the design, you notice some black shade in between. Yes, you know that outlets, the pajamas crew, you know that they usually work at night. You know, they save the work at night to save the day, kind of. So, and that I wanted to have it that dark shade, a little bit of like that night theme. You know, that was what I had in mind. So if you're still watching to this point and yet to subscribe, please kindly do subscribe and show us some love, and leave me in the comment section like hi, I'm new, in the comment section. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you very much. So I'm going to add my white buttercream at the top, and I made sure I had a little bit of the blue buttercream smearing into the white buttercream to give me that sky kind of effect. Then once I was through with that, I went ahead to comb it to make sure the frosting was smooth and flawless, and then I walked around the cake to see if there's any places I need to make some adjustment to, and then the cake was fixed at this point. I just needed to add my other decoration, like the number one topper, the pajamas stickers, and then I also added this white is not sprinkles, they're not sprinkles, they're like balls. I'm trying to pick up the name now. They're like dredges, white dredges. Yes, I saw some at the cake store, and immediately another came to my mind. I should use those little white dredges for stars. You get the idea? I didn't want to pipe white buttercream. No, I used that as stars. Like I just inserted it as stars, little by little. Yeah, yes. This is white dredges. I inserted them as stars, and it came out so well. Guys, the review for this cake was mind-blowing. I had review from the person who ordered the cake. I had an awesome review too from some guests who attended the birthday party. It was beautiful. So this was all. Added my stickers and my number one themed birthday cake of pajamas was ready. I love the design. So if you want me to keep sharing it, my decorated to me episode, please let me know, because this is number one of many. Trust me, I've had other decoration sections, but I didn't have a time. I've never created an episode for such designs like this. So this was mind blowing, and I love how it came out. Look at how sharp the edges were. Everything came out perfectly above my imagination. So this is all for me for today. Thank you so much for watching. I wish to see you in my other episode of Decorated to Me. See you next time. Bye.